Hello and welcome everybody, my name is Glitch and today I'm going to be casting a TVZ on Shakuras Plateau. Spawning in the bottom left corner as the red Terran we have Happy. Happy is I believe a Russian player from the team Empire. Very good player. Both of these players are actually very well known players. Most people know both of these players. Spawning in the top right corner we have LiquidHayprO. LiquidHayprO is again another very well known player. Plays for Team Liquid, so if you've ever been to teamliquid.net, which if you haven't and you're a StarCraft player, go to Team Liquid already. Team Liquid it's the website to go to. It is the source of all things StarCraft 2. Now, this is a game that was played on Battle.net. I don't think there was anything too spectacular about it. I don't think it was part of any tournament or anything. I think it was just a match that was played on Battle.net. But seeing as both of these players are just absolutely amazing players, I am very much looking forward to this ZVT. Now, on Shakuras Plateau, it's a pretty wide open map. One thing to note on this map is it is completely impossible to spawn close positions. There are 4 spawning places on this map. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 places, but you can never spawn directly across from each other on this map. On this map, you will always spawn either on the left side or on the right side, away from your opponent. Something worth noting that can save you a little bit of scouting time if you ever are playing on this map. So, HayPro, knowing that they can't spawn in close positions here, is just going for the fast expand. This is pretty common for Zerg. As a Zerg player, I always feel pretty safe in fast expanding on this map just because the rush distance is a little bit long. You do have to come all the way across the map because there are only 2 places on the other side of the map that your opponent can spawn. So fast expansions are usually a pretty safe bet for Zerg. HayPro has gone hatch first and he has now thrown down a spawning pool. In Camp Happy, we do have a barracks that has gone down, and there is a factory coming up right now. And there is a reactor now coming down on the barracks. Now, this is most likely going to be used to swap that factory onto that reactor so that he can produce Hellions 2 at a time and get some early harassment in. But HayPro has now come up the ramp and has now scouted both the reactor and the factory, so he is going to know exactly what is up. There is an SCV in the worker line right now that is scouting right now. He has seen that expansion, I think, anyway. Going Happy's view, yes, he has indeed scouted that expansion, and he has now seen that the spawning pool has gone up as well. He is keeping his SCV here, though, however, but he has now swapped that Hellion. I was thinking that he might actually begin to go for some early marine pressure, maybe throw down a bunker with that SCV, but no, looks like he has indeed thrown down that factory and is training those Hellions. LiquidHayPro did manage to sneak a worker into the base of Happy and is now scouting the worker count as well as the gas available for Happy right now. Gas is always a good indicator of what kind of tech an opponent is going to be going for. Anytime you can get into your base and scout whether they've gone for 1 gas, both gas, or no gas, it is always a good tell of what exactly is going to happen. 2 Hellions are now down and coming across the field. There is a spine crawler coming up in the main for LiquidHayPro. He is positioning this queen, or he was positioning that queen on the ramp. Very common for Zerg players to place 2 queens here on the ramp and hold position to prevent the Hellions from moving up the ramp. He has now moved 1 queen into position, but here come those Hellions. He's really going to have to come in and deal a lot of damage here if he's going to want to make those Hellions worth it. Those are a 200 mineral investment, and Happy did poke into the main, decided he didn't really want to try to go for it, so he has just pulled back. On the production tab now, we do have some roaches coming down for LiquidHayPro. He is producing some roaches. With these, he's going to be able to block the ramp. And Hellions really just don't deal that much damage to roaches, so he is going to be able to hold these Hellions off with these roaches. A lot of lings going down, though. All the lings just got roasted. But these roaches managed to hold off the Hellion. Only lost 1 Hellion so far. And Happy is throwing up an expansion command center, so we are going to see an expansion coming out of him very shortly. A second barracks has gone down now on that reactor, and we have siege mode coming up for Happy. So it looks like he is going to be transitioning here into a Marine siege tank style of play, very common style of play for the Terran race. But it'll be interesting to see whether HayPro decides to stick to these roaches, or will he switch to Marines, or see some air units here pretty soon, maybe some mutas. I'm not the biggest fan of the roaches in the ZVT matchup. I do tend, just because Marauders are just so ridiculously good against roaches, I do tend to favor Ling Muta against those Terran players, just because of the mobility I gain and the map control. Because if there's one thing that Terrans do commonly, it's this Marine tank style of play, which is a generally very, very, very strong but very immobile style of play. With a Marine siege tank army, you can siege up your tanks and place your Marines here, and then just defend your base, and is pretty close to being unbreakable. You can also leapfrog tanks out slowly, and just slowly move across the map, leapfrogging your tanks forward with a large Marine push. But once your units are out here and sieged, you need to be sure that you are able to either pull back or that you have some defenses waiting in the base, because Zerg players will tend to take advantage of a Terran army that is just sitting out here in a very strong position, but a group of Mutalisks can easily just go around the back to the Terran base and just take out that mineral line. So the the Terran player always just needs to be very careful about what he does with his Marine tank army. Very nice Marine spread here by Happy. Happy has now spread out these Marines. This is in the case of Banelings. In case any Banelings were to come up this ramp, he wants to make these Marines as cost-effective as possible against those Banelings, and the best way to do that is to spread them out so that they're losing one Baneling per 1 or 2 Marines. A couple Zerglings now coming across the map. HayPro is taking that Xel'Naga watchtower. This will allow him to see any kind of pushes coming up the front. And I don't know if HayPro has seen an expansion, but yes, indeed, he has actually seen the expansion, so he knows that he has expanded, so he is taking his third. He's taking his third. He does have a few roaches. Looks like he's going for a Ling Roach style of play. Oh, interesting. He's actually going for a Roach Baneling style of play. This is a very interesting move by HayPro. Not something I've seen too often, but I wouldn't be surprised if this does amazingly well. These Banelings are going to be able to do very well against those Marines. If he can get those Banelings to connect with these Marines, he's going to be able to deal a lot of damage, kill a lot of Marines, and these Roaches will be there to just clean up those siege tanks. So this could be very, very effective. It's all going to come down to control, though. It'll all come down to how well Happy places his tanks, whether he can spread his Marines, and really where he just sieges up and decides to engage. Because if he engages on creep, like he is now moving on to creep, he is not yet sieged up, and the army of HayPro is out front. Happy really needs to be careful there. A lot of Banelings here. This is a lot of Banelings, more than enough to take out this group of Marines, unless there's a good split. Happy doing a nice little siege tank spread here, dealing a lot of damage. Those Banelings move in and all blow up on that siege tank. That was a lot of Banelings lost to just one siege tank. That was not an effective trade there for LiquidHayprO. And Happy still has all of his Marines. He is now stimming in, moving into the third of LiquidHayprO. This is a third that HayPro really, really needs to keep. He really needs to keep this base if he wants to keep his economy on par with that Terran economy. But he is stimming those Marines quite a bit. There's only one medevac up on the field right now, but all these Marines have been stimmed so close to death. He really needs to be careful with these Marines. But he does manage to take out the third. Behind this, LiquidHayprO has thrown up some more Banelings. We have 6 Banelings currently in production, and 6 Mutas are now on the way for LiquidHayprO. He is going to be, indeed, taking advantage of the fact that this is a very immobile force. As you'll notice, these tanks are sieged up here. They are not in a position to move back and defend the base at any time. And these Marines, if they want to be anywhere, they're a little bit out of position right now, and these forces of HayPro are moving in. But these Marines do need to be very careful to stick close to these tanks. Marines are fairly mobile units, but they need to be near these tanks, otherwise these tanks could get taken out by Mutas. So these units are all forced to stay close together, and a lot of Banelings here rolling in, getting taken out by those siege tanks. Nice play there by Happy there. Very nice micro there controlling. Very nice control, taking out those Banelings, but the Roaches are going to move in and finish those off, and the Mutas are going to get that medevac. Not before it gets just a tiny bit of scouting information there, though. LiquidHaypro is now supply blocked. He's going to have to produce some overlords, and he is double expanding. He has now pushed that push back, but he needs to be very careful. He needs to not get too overzealous with his macro, because that was just kind of a small force there from Happy. That wasn't a big force, but Happy was able to deal a lot of damage with just a few siege tanks and a small group of marines. But these Mutalisks are moving into the back now. He has scouted the third command center that is getting ready to go down at that third expansion, but there are marines here that will be able to deny those mutas from doing too much damage. Missile turrets now going down for Happy. There are 4 missile turrets now surrounding this orbital command, so this is well defended from any small packs of Mutalisks. A couple missile turrets are also going down in the natural, and it looks like he is now moving out with that third LiquidHaypro, trying to get a few shots on that command center before he manages to settle. But with this many marines here, Happy is going to be able to defend from these Mutalisks. A few turrets also going down. Very nice, very safe style of play from Happy. I'm really liking this style of play. LiquidHaypro is doing everything he can to keep up with these mutas, but he's losing a lot of mutas there. And Happy's now on his third. LiquidHaypro is really going to have to get these 2 other bases really saturated if he wants to keep up with the econ of the Terran player. A lot of mules here going down for Happy. This is going to give him a giant boost in economy. If we check out the Harvester tab right now, we can see that looks like HayPro's sitting around 64 drones to Happy's 59 SCVs. That is not necessarily the best place. While HayPro does have the worker advantage, we need to account for the mules that a Terran player has. The mules count for a lot there. So even though HayPro right now does have the Harvester advantage, I would say that Happy does have the income advantage. As we can see from this, we can see that Happy, even though he is, he's actually now managed to catch up in Harvesters, but even before, his income was much higher than that of LiquidHaypro just because of those mules. Those mules provide so much extra minerals. And I like this move here by Happy. Happy's thrown down a sensor tower now. This is going to allow him to spot any of those Mutalisks. Anytime any units come in within range of this circle, he may not be able to see the units themselves, but he will see them as red dots on his mini-map and on his actual map when he actually looks at them. So this is going to allow him to kind of control the space around his third there. So I like that play. He is moving out with a small number of Marines and Siege Tanks, but I really do think he needs more Marines here. This is really not that many Marines, and he saw earlier that HayPro did produce a lot of Banelings, and so yes, here indeed come a lot more Banelings coming in here. These Marines really need to be controlled well, because that many Banelings, this is 14 Banelings. That is a lot of Banelings, and those are going to be able to easily take out this small number of Marines unless he controls them very well. Nice siege tank spread here by Happy. Happy now has placed a couple of siege tanks in range so that he can take out this hatchery, but behind that he has produced several other siege tanks. There's nothing worse as a Zerg player to move in and say, oh man, 4 siege tanks, I can take that. And you take them out only to realize there are more siege tanks behind that, just dealing more and more damage to your forces as they move in. Lot of forces here moving in though for LiquidHaypro. HayPro is macroing up a storm right now. He is morphing in quite a few roaches, quite a few Banelings, and quite a few Zerglings. So a lot of ground forces here. This is going to be quite an attack here for LiquidHaypro. Happy's going to need a lot more forces, I think, to deal with this, unless his siege tank spread is really, really good. He's going to need a lot more Marines to be able to deal with this many ground forces, and he has not managed to siege up, and HayPro is moving in for the kill. There are a lot of units here. Banelings taking out a lot of units, not being able to connect with the Marines, but they were able to take out all of those siege tanks, and the Marines and Roaches now streaming in to clean up all the rest of these forces. Very nicely timed attack there by LiquidHaypro. And now, LiquidHaypro is moving in for the kill. We are going to be able to see now whether LiquidHaypro is going to be able to deal a lot of damage, or whether the turtled up style of Happy is going to be able to defend this kind of attack in part 2 of this game, coming just in a moment, guys.